Life's atypical, baby. Welcome to Atypical Podcast, where we talk about life's uncertainties, change, and unexpected twists, and find solutions together. In the landscape of modern adulthood, a significant portion of the population will find itself in this challenging phase known as the middle squeeze, often personified by the sandwich generation. We will see things like career pressures, financial instability, and existential dread. Or existential questioning, I should say. Again, with increased life expectancy, which means that more adults will be living longer who require care for longer periods of time. We're seeing that trend of delayed childbearing, which results in many individuals having younger children at the same time that their parents are beginning to experience age-related health issues. And again, the cost of living is increasing. Financial dependence of adult children often extending into their 20s and even 30s, and then that other layer of just financial strain of supporting middle-aged parents. So with that,
stop summarizing my life.
Oh my god, that is us right now. Well, anyways, what would you say else characterizes the midlife squeeze?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to note that a social worker came up with that term.
Oh, really? Interesting. So what I was saying to you is like, what does the midlife squeeze mean to you, or what does it look like for you right now?
Yeah, no, I mean, like right now I'm working. I have 4 kids, one of whom is a year and a half old. So that's one side of the squeeze. The coup de grace is that I have one of my parents who's ill, and that is a lot of things. And the cost of living is definitely impacting us. We go to Costco and that bill is...
Yeah, I don't think we've ever paid for a bill less than like $200.
What would that be like? That'd be like
every time I go,
berries and yogurt.
Well, every time I go, I'm like, okay, I'm here to just get chicken fingers and walk in with a cart full of stuff. So,
well, that's a different thing. But the general cost, like egg whites, used to be $6.99 for 4 cartons, and now they're $14.99.
That's wild. What else did we notice that was like getting up there in price? We saw something. Oh, it was the waffles. Waffles are like stupid expensive.
So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling a little squeezed.
Yeah, I would say, I would say for...
How are you feeling the squeeze?
Oh, well, I mean, I think I've been feeling the squeeze for quite some time. Again, like, I guess I'd say that I am in my early 40s. And I think that it kind of started with, parent being ill, right? Like we have... Our kids are 13, 10, and 1. And, they're dealing with their own challenges too, right? So it's like we're managing, their mental health stress. We're managing, challenges with school within their kind of whole teenage world. And, from it going to, poopy butthole, those jokes are fun, to like porn, Roblox, and child predators. So it's like all of that kind of stuff, dealing with them, and then like emotions and hormones, and like, oh my gosh, someone hurt my feelings this way. And you're like, what? It went from like crashing toys to like that kind of stuff. And then, we have our own health challenges. So it's like, we're starting to see that things are getting more difficult. Like I get up and my back's hurting, and I'm like, what the friggin' hell? Like what? I haven't done anything, but I'm in like excruciating pain. Like I've been having issues with my hip. I'm just sleeping, and I wake up and I'm like, my hip hurts. Like it doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean?
You're like, what would it be like? Like there's no way. Let's just can't conceive of the fact
it can't get worse.
You just like, I can't conceive of like not being the way I am right now. And then you slowly start to lose things, and you're like, this is how it happened.
Right. And that's awful. It sucks.
Right. And so you're like, okay, so I used to be able to do... I think I was watching a meme the other day, and a guy jumped down 4 flights of stairs, like when you try to do things that you used to do when you were a teenager. And then it cut to an ambulance driving down the road. Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah,
so it's like we have our own health challenges, and then you add on like our parents, right? And, we're not going to lay out the specifics. My own mom, and having that kind of her first issue and not receiving the healthcare that she should have received. And then just the fact that, everyone's getting sicker. Like we're in our 40s, so our parents are like in their 60s and beyond. And we're now seeing like them getting sick. And that is some scary ass shit. Like it is so scary because they're the people that like we relied on. Like we relied on them to help us with our health challenges, to help us with our kids, to help us with, you know, all of the stuff that we're dealing with. And now it's like we're dealing with our own stuff, we're dealing with our kids' stuff. And now we're seeing the decline of these people that, you know, we looked up to help us deal with all of the big emotions, all the big stress. And now they're the ones that are like, we're looking after them. And that for me is horrifying. Like, I'm just like, what the hell? It's really difficult. And this kind of sucks, right? Like, I mean,
we're the captains now.
No, I don't want to be the captain.
No,
I'm not ready. I don't want to be the captain. And I think it's just like, I don't feel equipped. Right. I don't feel equipped to have these conversations where it's like, okay, you know, I'm making medical decisions for my mom. I'm making medical decisions for my dad. They're asking me questions or, you know, or they're being delivered like this hard hitting news. Or so for me, it's just like really, really terrifying. And, you know, I think it kind of all started even before my parents had any illnesses. And, you know, the fact that, you know, we get those questions of like, have you done your will? Have you done your will kit yet? Have you done your will?
No.
Right?
Not because I don't want to.
What are we waiting for?
I'm not like superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
You're just a little stitious. So like, again, yeah, like what are we waiting for?
That's tough because what are we waiting for? I don't know. Like, it's like, that's like, there's like all these other pressing issues that we want to get done. And that one's like, yeah, we can get that done at some point, and you just keep on kicking it down the road. We need to stop kicking it down the road, though. We need to like figure that out.
Yeah, but like, I don't want to. It's just like that thinking that it's like, okay, and it's not even like, oh, if I complete it, something bad's gonna happen. It's just like having to have all those thoughts. So it kind of circles back to this whole like, we're in this midlife squeeze. We're dealing with our parents. Oh yeah, I had like a family member being like, oh, here's my like will kit and all of my will stuff, and like you're gonna deal with this, and I'm like, you're not sick. Why are we even talking about this? And it's terrifying.
It's a lot.
It is terrifying. And I mean, I think we don't even think about the toll that it kind of takes on our own mental health and our own, you know, strain and like all the different things that we face. How does it feel? Like, how are you feeling? How are you coping and managing with all of this that we're dealing with?
I would love to say that I'm compartmentalizing, but really what I'm doing is just kind of like generally trying to push those things to the side.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way the brain works, that's just percolating underneath the surface, right?
Right.
It's not like something I think about on a daily basis. It'll occur to me sometimes. Sometimes you're like, well, you know, especially if you have supportive parents and you've had supportive parents for most of your life. So when that support gets kicked out from underneath you, you realize, oh, well, I've been factoring that in, right? Subconsciously, right? I have a safety net.
That's very true.
And now all of a sudden, when they start relying on you, you're like, whoa. You're my safety net.
Yeah, like you're the person that's supposed to be helping me.
You're up here on the tightrope with me. You're supposed to be down there waiting for me to fall.
Right.
Pick me back up, and then I get back on the tightrope, and away we go again.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I've had it like where one of my parents has called me, and they're like, kind of avoid the conversation. Like, oh, like, you know, I don't want to sound like a horrible son, but I'm like, I don't really want to talk right now. It's not because I don't love my parents or I don't want to talk to them. It's because the reality is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And avoidance is like 3/4 of all of our coping mechanisms that we get super stressed. Right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
Right.
So that's definitely not a great idea. So I've been making a more conscious effort to reach out and make contact and stay in contact with my parents, talk to them about the hard things, because avoidance is just going to feed the anxiety.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed like the physical impact, right? Like just on my physical health, I feel like I'm stressed all the time. I have my phone at my bedside table just waiting for that like awful call, right? Where it's just because it happened, right? It was with my aunt and my mom was at our home. The call comes in and like you got the screaming going on and crying, and then you're just like, what is happening? And someone's died, or you get that immediate call where someone's fallen ill. Now it's this trigger, right? It's like a trauma response. I have to keep my phone close because something bad's going to happen. I'm going to hear, I'm going to get this like awful call. And I know that weighs a lot on me as an individual. I'm trying to deal with my own stuff. Like I'm stressed about work and finances and stuff, but now I'm worried about this additional, like, oh no, I might get this call. And then I think about the time constraints on like career impact, right? So just thinking about like meeting the demands of caring for other people other than myself. I am thinking about having to care for both of my parents, or, having to care for my kids. And it's just like, I just feel like I don't have enough time to do some of the stuff that I want. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. But I'm divided in like 1,000 different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And where's self-care? What does self-care look like in a case like that? Yes, everybody, I know the self-care movement for a lot of you is gag-worthy. I don't conceive of self-care the same way that most people do. But nevertheless, taking time for yourself to prioritize your needs is really what I'm saying when I'm talking about self-care. And that could look like a lot of different things, whether it's just like literally sitting there and staring at a wall, if that's something that floats your boat, or meditating, or watching Netflix, or eating something yummy.
Well, I've put on a little bit of weight
in moderation
because I've eaten lots of yummy things. Well,
so I mean, it's been tough. It's tough seeing the people that you once saw as indomitable be taken low by just father time, right?
Yeah.
So that's tough. It's tough to see that.
For sure.
And again, not everybody has these types of relationship with their parents, so let's front load that.
Yeah.
But if you've had like a fairly decent relationship with your parent, even if you've had like a somewhat contentious relationship with your parent, that adds a whole level of complexity when they start to go through these health challenges and stuff like that. Right?
Well, I kind of want to talk about that. What about the relationship that, let's say you had a crappy relationship and now you get that call. It's like, they're in the hospital and you're just like, I fucking hate that person. But there's still something that makes you feel like I have to deal with it. And again, I think that's where you think about boundary setting too. How do you set a healthy boundary in relation to all of this? Because we can't take it all on.
And I think it's important to note that people put a lot of pressures on themselves, specifically with respect to the roles that they're supposed to play.
Right.
So, in the situation where you have a very contentious relationship with a parent, then some people feel this deep-seated, like, yes, I can't stand this person, like through and through. They treated me like crap. Some of the issues I'm now dealing with and like visiting on my kids are attributable to the way they dropped the ball.
Right.
And so there's lots there, but at the same time, I have this deep, like ingrained
a sense of responsibility and yuck
to do this, to do that, or
I got an adult and I don't feel like I'm an adult
take the
yet.
high ground, whatever that looks like, or whatever. And I don't think it's always that cut and dry. Right. And so I think it's really important that if you're going through that you talk to a professional and then you kind of unpack that yourself. Because for me to summarize it here would be it would not be intellectually honest, because the number of variables involved in each person's specific situation, that's the kind of really important where the rubber meets the road about how you should handle it, right? Whether or not you should maintain distance, whether or not you should try to have some kind of cathartic moment, or at least convey your thoughts and feelings to the other person. It all is in the details. So that's something you need to unpack on an individual basis.
Yeah, and I think, again, it just depends, like you said, like it depends on the person, right? It depends on where you are. And I think any kind of response is fine. Like if you don't want to talk to that person ever again, then fine. That's your prerogative. That's what you decide to do. That's okay. And I also think that like if you want to make ties and you want to make amends, or whatever the case may be, whatever that is for you, I think that's okay too. Like for you, it's tying up a loose end, or, saying your piece, being like, I fucking hated you and goodbye. Like, whatever the case may be, I think you got to figure out what that looks like. And I think that is, again, a part of this whole, middle squeeze sandwich generation. That's those feelings that you were maybe putting off or pushing to the side, that you're like, I didn't want to deal with this, as an adult. Like, as you growing up as an adult now, that's something that you have to manage, right? And let's say you were the kid that was abandoned or adopted. I actually saw this on Instagram. It was actually a nurse who was saying this mother had put out a plea that she was dying of cancer and she wanted to find her child that she put up for adoption, because I guess it was maybe an open adoption. And this nurse reposted it and people were like, no, man. it doesn't matter what she wants.
Yeah.
It matters what that child wants, knowing that child was abandoned, neglected. Like, it's up to that child to reach out, but we shouldn't be, as a collective society, being like, oh, it's sad, she's dying, and she wants us to help find her child. But again, the dynamics are sticky. It's not exactly, like an open and shut case. So again, it's like all of that stuff you're dealing with too, right? And I think the other piece that we haven't touched on is the financial strain. I'm broke. I don't know about you. Everything is so friggin' expensive. I eat my feelings, so that doesn't help. But it's just like, yeah, like dealing with sick parents costs money. I feel bad for like even my parents. Like, we're helping them out while they're staying here. My dad's getting whatever treatment he needs, but I can't even help give them more money to come up for gas or anything because I don't have it. Like, I don't have it. It's just like, 4 kids. We didn't anticipate that we were having 4 kids. We're happy that we have 4 kids, but it's like now we're doing construction in our home to build this additional room, to have this extra space that we never anticipated, and all that costs money. So it's like we might need an extra bedroom or extra bathroom, and like all those extra pressures. And I think it was last year, everything in our house decided to just break. Yep. So this roof should last for 25 years. It didn't. And then it's okay. So we're like putting on a new roof. Oh, our appliances. How? It was the fridge. Then it was like the washing machine, and then the dryer, and then the microwave. Why are we replacing everything? And it's just like, all right, I had my little cushy little period of time where I had some good money saved up, and then it's like, and then you're helping your parents, and your kids are like, Mom, I want that FNAF shirt. It's so cool. And I feel like I need to give them something, like just a little. It's like, okay, the season passes for Wonderland are so much more expensive, but it's like thing one of our sons really, really enjoys. How do we say no to everything?
Well, and so I don't know about you, but when people are like, oh, save for retirement. What the fuck is that?
Save for retirement.
I got to get my next mortgage payment paid for.
Right?
Where am I going to start forking out $500 extra a month, $1,000 extra a month now because I haven't saved so far?
Yep.
Right? And what am I banking on the equity in my house? So I'll be homeless with $500,000.
Well, the thing is, you can't even
when I finally retire it.
100%.
Million and a half.
Well, it's even that, right? The housing prices have gone up. We saw people even within our neighborhood sell for like really like astronomical amounts. It's like, where are you going? Like, where are you
sell
going?
High, you buy high, right?
Sell high, buy high, or you're just going to keep moving further and further from like the city centers.
And I think it's important to point out, you can listen to all these online folks, especially these old school Republican-esque folks online, and they're like, well, we did it. Why don't you?
My gosh.
All the boomers.
Oh, we're going to get there. We got
tough love conversation. And it's like, you know what? Go look at a fucking line graph. The cost of living versus our wages.
100%.
Like, you guys could buy a house for $80,000 in 1979 or 80.
It's not like that now.
That crap would be paid off within like 20 years, 15 years. 20 years really sucked at your finances. And you could have a car, and you could have a single income. Dual incomes weren't required. And now it's like dual income's mandatory.
Yes.
And even with that, it's really squeezy. So get bent, boomers who say that stuff.
Get bent. Oh my gosh. And I think about, we're going to talk about boomers too, because I think that's going to be an interesting part. We're seeing, for example, we had that whole conversation, particularly in nursing too, where it's like, okay, at this point in time, now is the time where they're just like, all right, we're going to be seeing an uptick in, seniors needing more care. The zeitgeist is changing where like we need to shift to prioritizing seniors care. And, we're seeing how awful like long-term care and these different things. I did want to talk about like that emotional guilt. I don't know if you feel it, but that emotional strain that I feel even too, where it's just like, okay, so I feel like burnt out sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to have anybody around. I want to just be by myself.
Well,
I don't want to deal with that additional illness or get another message. I'm just like, I don't want to manage it. And that's really frustrating. The emotional strain that it puts on individuals like myself and you, and I'm sure the emotional strain of our parents and our kids. That's the other thing. Our kids are seeing us managing and dealing with them and dealing with our parents being sick and then trying to explain it to them and all that stuff. Some days I'm just like maxed out.
Most days, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, like maxed out.
But back to your point about like having people over. I mean, I'm autistic, so I don't like generally love a lot of people around. I used to be everybody's therapist.
You still kind of are sometimes, you know?
Like nowadays, it's just like, listen, man, like I can't be that guy for you. Not only because I do this for a living now, and it's like that's what I do 40 hours a week, but also because I'm also a pseudo therapy person, like support person for my kids and my parents. And that's something I don't love, is being that guy for my parents when they call me and I'm either tech support for my mom or they're calling me and telling me about all their feelings. I don't want to be the guy who deals with my parents' feelings.
Well, this is why
them to be the person,
and I don't mean to be like awful, but this is why, for example, sometimes like I'll get a message from like your mom or my mom and I just don't even read it. Like it comes in and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not even gonna look at it. Or it's a health thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna deal with it because I'm tired. I just
triage mode, and you're like
constantly, and it's hard. It's challenging. I kind of want to be like, I don't want to be an adult. I just want to sit here and like watch a Netflix show and eat more popcorn with my IBS. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to hear anybody else's problem. You just kind of like throw the hoodie up and just like just kind of like sulk to yourself. Gosh, but yeah, like there's just so much there that we're dealing with. But I think maybe, I guess we should put the shoe on the other foot. And what do you think the impact on like our parents or our kids who are kind of watching all of this kind of unfold? We're being squeezed. How do you think they're kind of managing?
Well, it's easier to empathize somewhat more with our kids. I mean, everybody forgets what it's like to be a kid. Let's be clear.
That's true.
Why parenting can be hard. For a variety of other reasons, parenting is hard. But I vaguely recall seeing my parents go through the deaths of my grandparents, stuff like that, and them getting sick and managing all those things and whether they handled it well or not well and stuff like that. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so that was wild. Yeah.
And then, but I don't know what it's like to be on
the receiving end.
Golden years, which is going to come for everybody.
What's the golden years?
When we hit over 60, we're watching. So we don't know what it's like to be our parents right now,
right?
And they don't know what it's like.
It must be very concerning because, you know, like you had, and I'm not saying that all of a sudden they're all sick and like, but it's just like, you know, you knew where you once were and, you know, things aren't like that anymore.
Yeah. I think
right?
That's like you. So as a point, like, your parents are grieving the slow chipping away at their independence. Sometimes not so slow.
Right.
And so that can be a jarring experience for them. It's jarring for us from a different standpoint because those were the people who were our support people. And now they're losing their independence. And we're like, what? I need you to both be independent. And then I also need to be able to depend on you a little bit. Still.
Right.
Even at 40, whatever, I don't really depend on you for much, but I just still need you to be there. One of the things a psychologist in our practice said once was like, there's very few unidirectional relationships in life.
Right.
Most relationships are bidirectional, meaning they're based on reciprocity. Like
right.
You give, I give. Some people might give a little bit more. Some people will give a bit less, but it's, you know, relatively close, like 40, 60, 45, 55, whatever. And very few relationships in our life that aren't medical or care related, like therapists or doctors or whatever, are unidirectional. But parents are supposed to be a unidirectional relationship, right?
Right.
Where your parents are the ones who are supposed to be supporting you. They take care of you. They look after you. And you call them up and you vent and they don't share their shit with you. It sucks sometimes
right,
when you're trying to share all your baggage and then somebody's like, oh, you know what? This too. You're like, no. Me now.
My turn.
Yeah, my turn. Like, I've been doing this reciprocity crap and having to listen to people's feelings all week. I need you to listen to me now. And like
right.
that, when those boundaries start to kind of cave in and your parent starts to use you more as more of like that kind of be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I noticed too, really like with my parents and like, you know, like with my mom and stuff, it's really sad when like you catch them in the moment where they're noticing, and I'm just kind of like my mom will say something, and I'm just kind of like standing there. I'm like, yeah, it's real, and I can see that she recognizes that like things are not the greatest, or like I've heard her say to me like, you know, oh, I thought I was going to go before your dad, or I thought, you know, and I'm just like, don't say that.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. Like,
But
let's go for a walk.
They're starting to see the people before them, and now
Well, like all of their
generation.
friends, right? You know, like they're like, oh my God, it was like my parents go to a funeral every month. Yikes. Cause like, yeah, it just seems like everybody's dying. And I can only imagine to them, it must really feel like everybody's dying, right?
You know, this is an interesting fact of our life, right? Especially in the modern era. Like back when, even like 100 years ago, 200 years ago, like we didn't institutionalize death to the degree that we have now. So people back then were much more familiar with the touch of death. Now, because death is no longer, like, most people died in their home.
Yeah.
Right now, most people die in hospitals or hospices or whatever. And because it's been removed from our immediate, and people died much younger of various diseases and stuff like that. So death was just a part of life. And there was, I think, much more, like a much deeper understanding of it.
Right.
And so now that it's been removed, it's much more shocking, much more novel.
Yeah.
And so that can also result in that level of shock where you're just like, oh, this can end. So,
and we see the dread on all of their faces, like recognizing that, you know, they're having to rely on us a little bit more. And I think to them, that's probably mortifying, right? They saw us in our poopy diapers and, you know, us running around and toddling about. And now they are looking to us, right? And sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I'm just weaving through this.
Some people might have gone through this where this doesn't happen very often, but like where you're like, when in a moment of realization, you were like, I am the smartest person in this room right now.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part. When that happens, like that is
when it happens,
weird.
Like, oh no, this is not a good idea, guys. Like, you don't realize there's so many things I don't know.
Right.
You could fill an air, you could fill the ocean with the number of things I don't know. Like, we can't have me be that person.
Yeah.
And that's a little sliver of that when your parents start to rely on you. You're like, no. I'm only 42. I don't know all the things yet to take care of my kids and you.
You know what the other piece is too? And I think, and maybe you'll see this more as you're like, you know, doing therapy, and I'm like a nurse, I'm in healthcare. So one of the other things is that they come, like, whenever anything health, they come to me. And they bring their friend, and it's like all these kind of questions. And I feel like being like, oh, you know, go look it up yourself or whatever. But I also feel that kind of duty and responsibility. And I know that they trust me to kind of give them that information and to make sure that, you know, I'm impartial and I'm sharing whatever knowledge that I have. But again, I think the fact that they feel that they have to ask is probably awful. It's like, oh man, I gotta ask this person, or even when they're in that moment where they're sick and my child's now taking care of me. And my mom used to say this, actually, is like a thing that my grandma used to say. It was like, what is it? Once a man, twice a child. And I hate that. Like, I hate the idea of that, because I don't believe it's like a true reversion to being in a childlike state, but it's re-seeking that dependency that you might need during times of illness and, you know, transition and whatever else that might look like. But it's scary from their standpoint. And I think that it's probably like feels not great on their end. We haven't even talked about like how it affects our children, right? Like last night, emotions were on high. Yes, that is a part of it, but the emotions are on high. They hear what we say. They listen. Like, little people, man, they know. They know what's up. They listen to every word that we say. They may not repeat it, but they're listening, right?
More to a degree that I think we can't appreciate.
Yeah.
And so when our moods shift, they notice it, because their pattern recognition, especially for a child, is because their survival from a kind of evolutionary psychology standpoint is completely dependent on your ability to keep your shit together.
Yeah.
So they're constantly observing us with a focus that I think we kind of find, we would find a little mind-boggling. So when our energy shifts, meaning like when if we're not doing something we would typically do, or not emoting in a way that we would normally emote, or not responding to their needs,
or we get a little bit more angry than we should be.
But that's like an overt thing. I'm just saying, like, even the things that are missing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't know, something's off with dad right now. Normally he'd be like joking around this time of day, but he's not joking around.
Right.
Or maybe, or normally he'd come over and like stroke my face and give me a little kiss, but he's just kind of blowing past me. Not because of whatever. He just seems like he's distracted. They notice those things, and it throws them off.
Yeah.
And they start to express stress, right?
Yeah. And that's where sometimes you get that acting out, or that they have their, I don't want to say anger outbursts, but they have their own way of expressing it. And, you know, like, we're still regulating. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I think we're still even regulating how we manage our emotions and all of these different things. And it's just like, we have these little people who are like watching and seeing all of this happening. So seeing their parents being squeezed, seeing their grandparents getting sick, and then having, you know, family members die around them. So for example, we had our aunt that died, and we had all those types of questions and conversations, and they see the body, they're like, oh, she looks different. And you're like, oh man, yeah. And just like having to, you know that they're managing all of these different emotions, and they have their big, you know, big feelings and all these things. And it's just like, now how do we make sure that they're not by the wayside too? Right. And I think that it's really hard. It's hard managing all of it. And there's just some days I just want to like run into a closet and just like shit today. But the thing is, it's like, that's probably how they feel sometimes, right? And it's just like, you know, sometimes when it's like one of our kids are like, can I have a Lego? Like, for example, Logan was like, can I have a Lego? I'm just like, go ahead and do that Lego. It's just like, you know, because maybe they need distraction too. Maybe they need something to help them in the moment because they're feeling overwhelmed. And I think as little people, they express it a little bit different. Because maybe all the verbal capacity is not there. And I think some people are like, oh, as a 13-year-old, they should have the verbal capacity. No, adults don't even have the verbal capacity to deal with some of these different things. I mean, it's really challenging.
I work with children for a living. Certainly tell you, like, the way they experience emotions.
Right.
It takes a lot of practice to be able to articulate what an emotion is and to be able to disaggregate, because we can have many different conflicting emotions or complementary emotions or whatever you want to say simultaneously. And it takes somebody who's very attuned to their own inner workings to kind of unpack that. And that takes experience, and also takes a level of cognitive ability that the vast majority of kids, teenagers included, don't have. So, and again, it's one of those things where I think we forget what it was like. I have a vague recollection of what it was like when I was 13, 14. I was aware of my feelings, but to articulate them and then be able to seek out help or deploy coping strategies in an effective way. No, you're just usually just reacting to the environment around you.
Right? Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I remember thinking back, even because I kind of can remember like when my parents were being squeezed, particularly because my grandfather lived with us. My grandmother visited us quite frequently as well. And I think, to be honest, I think I like just cried a lot. Like I just would go to my room and I'd cry. I think I managed, when my grandpa died, I was in high school, and I think I just kind of internalized a lot of it. And I would just, my expression was, I'm tired. I just want to go lay down, and I would go to sleep. And of course, that's not like a healthy coping mechanism. And we'll see all those kind of unhealthy coping mechanisms in our children. We have to watch for those signs, right?
Right. And the thing is, like, the line between healthy and unhealthy can not always.
Okay, I think that's fair.
It can be subtle.
I don't want to say that I had complicated grief. Like, it was a really hard time when my grandfather died. He was like a father figure, right? And I spent so much time with him in the hospital. He was one of the people I kind of looked up to. He was kind of the reason I went into nursing. So seeing my mom lose him and seeing how the family responded to him dying, for me, it was like hugely, hugely difficult. And I think, I don't know, maybe the other piece is, I remember my parents fought a lot during their squeeze. And to me, it was just noise. I was just like, get your shit together. I'm a kid. You know?
So, like, to your point, I think I'm not going to regale you with all of the ins and outs of attachment theory, because
therapize me.
But it's interesting to know that, you know, the way that, listen, for parents out there, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. That means don't hold yourself to a standard where you have to be a perfect parent. You're not going to be. Parenting is too complex. Children are too complex. Your own relationship and your own ability to parent is not perfect by nature, right? Just think about how we learn to parent. Like, we don't go to courses. We learn how to parent by having observed our parents parent us.
Yeah.
Which is the dumbest way to learn how to do things.
They do have parenting books out there.
Right. Well, whatever. They're useless for the most part.
They give you a couple tips and tricks, but it's like, honestly, there's no cut and dry standard. Right. Yeah.
Best bet, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, is like, just try your best to point your compass, like set your compass to being the best parent you can be. That's north.
Yeah.
And then follow that path the best that you can. You're going to fall off the path. Apologize to your kids.
Yeah, I think that, you got it. I was just about to say, I think that's the biggest part. And I told you, like, apologizing to me is kind of, I know, oh God, I'm really letting all the cats out of the bag. Like, I used to, okay, fine. I still have a little bit of challenge with apologizing. And I think that, again, like, I'm working on it, but it's just like, I think we have to give ourselves the grace to apologize to our kids, to be like, I was angry and I shouldn't have said that. Or, I raised my voice and I shouldn't have said that. Or, the way I was behaving, because sometimes you can get slammy, just we revert back to V3. You want to slam a door, you want to, like, put something down really aggressive, and it freaks them out a little bit, and it's just like, yeah, I've gotta fess up and apologize. Because we want our kids to do that, right? They act in a certain way. We're like, you need to apologize to your brother. You need to apologize for how you be. If we're being like that too, we need to do it. Yeah.
Easy as a parent to go like, do this, do this, do this. Show your kids how to do it.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I need you. When I heard about a lot, it was be more resilient.
What is that?
Fucking show me how to be more resilient then, bro. The resilience is the goal. That's the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Right.
But how do I get there?
Yeah.
The journey to resilience is the question, right? It's important for parents to know, if you're just looking at attachment theory broadly, just picture like a circle, right? You're the hands for your kids. The hands are loving your kids. They go out into the world. They encounter things. They will come back to you, so the circle completes. They will come back to you because they've discovered something amazing and they want to share their joy with you. Or they encounter something aversive that they don't like, that hurt them, and they come back to you crying or concerned, and they want to come back to your hands. The one thing you need to make sure of, and it's not even 100% of the time, but 40 to 60% of the time if you can, 40% at minimum, is that your hands are there when they come back.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's not 100% because you're going to miss it. They're either going to miscue you, like they'll come home from school and you'll be like, how was your day? Good. It was probably a shitty day. Yeah. You don't know. That's called a miscue. The thing is, be there 40% of the time when they return, right? And that's when they want to share the good, when they want to share the things that have hurt them or made them upset. Be there for them and just validate what they're experiencing. Okay. But that's enough for them to get the sense that somebody's got their back.
Right.
And so that's anything less than 40%. And man, this is a fairly arbitrary number, but 40% in the circle of security training is what they specify. And it's more just like a heuristic to know, like, it doesn't even have to be half the time.
Right.
You just have to make sure that your child knows that when things happen that are great or things that happen that are not great, that they can come back and that there's going to be somebody waiting for them. If there's a disruption in that circle too frequent, then yes, your child will develop attachment problems.
Right.
Whether they'll be anxious, they'll have anxious attachment or whatever it might be. So we want to avoid those attachment styles because then your child may bring those attachment styles onto their future relationships.
Interesting.
And you can fix these things. It doesn't mean it's determinative, but it does mean you have to both recognize it and then do things like seek therapy and talk it out to kind of figure out where it came from and how to fix it, or else you're just going to keep on having those problems.
Right. So the long story be there for your kids, yeah, and then be able to be honest and let them know that you're having a hard time too.
Show them what ownership and accountability look like.
Yeah,
right. And
so this is tough shit.
Yeah, but for the most part, just when they come back to you, let them know that that's amazing. Share their joy, or that was hard and that sucks.
Yeah. So let's say is we are the toothpaste tube, right? The lid is on and we're being squeezed. Eventually, toothpaste lid is going to blow off and something needs to be done. I think the first thing is, the top's going to blow off. And I think that's when you need to recognize that you need to get help. And it's okay to be like, I need to see a therapist. I need to talk to somebody about this. Really friggin' sucks. Like, it sucks.
You need medication.
So I think the biggest part is to recognize that let's say it's affecting your sleep. It's affecting the way that your working relationships, is affecting your performance at work. It's affecting, your sexual health. It's affecting how you're parenting your kids. It's affecting your diet and nutrition. You like to eat late at night.
When we get stressed, we tend to eat high carbohydrate.
Right. So I think the first part is recognizing that, let's say you are that tube of toothpaste that the lid has off. So like all of those different things. So whether it's sleep regulation, whether it's diet, exercise, decreased sexual activity, all of these different things, more anger outbursts, recognizing, I think, is the first step to being, I actually need help. Like I need help.
Bear in mind, like prevention is better.
Okay, but trust me, we're all going to be squeezed. I agree.
Maybe we don't have to be squeezed to the point where the toothpaste lid pops off. Maybe we could just feel that pressure and realize that this is not a good path to be on. And then we can start deploying resources, because we don't always want to be reactive, right? Because once the lid pops off, it's much more effortful to get the lid back on.
But maybe the lid doesn't go back on because, again, this is why I use toothpaste. I think one of the thing is, maybe the lid will come back on, but the shape is going to change, right? Sure. You're not going to be the same because all of these things are changing. I think it's a good recognition that, maybe the toothpaste lid gets blown off, and, through all of the different things that you're navigating, when the lid gets back on, you're not going to be the same. Things are going to be different. And I think, getting that emotional support, whether it's through a friend, I am a big proponent of therapy, even though I need to definitely do more therapy. Going to a therapist, speaking to a social worker, I think those things are hugely important. And I think that first sign is recognition that you need support. And getting it. What are the resources that I can find out in my community in relation to, the fact that all of this is happening?
And how do you recognize it, right? That's the question.
Well, that's what I was saying, like sleep deprivation, all these different things.
It's lasting longer than a few months, right? Even off and on.
I think the whole like midlife squeeze or sandwich squeeze, it's not like something that happens in 1 year and goes away. Like I think the range of the squeeze is something like from age 40 to like 65. So we're being squeezed for 25 years and maybe longer. It's a long period of time. So it's making sure that you recognize those signs and symptoms within yourself and that you get help. I think the other piece is, like we talked about, finances, right? So maybe you need to get financial support, whether that's, having a accountant help you with your finances. You might have to, funeral expenses are expensive. Holy, right? And if your parents haven't put anything aside or you haven't put any aside, death can be devastating. And, maybe that's like refinancing your home. Maybe that's taking out a huge line of credit. Maybe trying to think and anticipate these things before they actually kind of occur. And then, maybe you have to borrow. Like there's all sorts of different things that you have to look at in terms of that financial strain. And I think the other piece is, sometimes I hate the saying live within your means. I understand what it means, but I also think it's like, so we have an economy where, there's a lot of struggles. We have the inflation, cost of living, but it's like, maybe it is, you got to peel back on, your favorite, well, I don't want to say your favorite thing, but maybe you just got to peel back in different ways, and you have to figure out what it is for yourself that makes sense, right? And my guilty pleasure is bubble tea. And it's like, every once in a while, I'm going to treat myself, but maybe you have to figure out what other ways you can kind of move your finances and things around to kind of make that not be another additional burden on top of everything else.
I think it's easier said than done, but it really, some of the things that help you get through these hard are easier said than done. Is regulating your sleep, trying to regulate your nutrition the best you can. For the most part, being like eating at maintenance, or if you're trying to lose, just like a slight deficit,
or maybe just remember to eat. I think that's also one thing too,
right? Moving your body.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, I'm glad you mentioned
how that works, whether it's walking outside, walk outside, to leave the treadmills at the gym behind.
What is the saying? Touch grass.
Don't do that. 50 steps of grass.
You know what it means. It means that you're going outside and enjoying nature.
But trust me, I am not a person who loves nature.
Have you seen our kids?
Yeah. But nevertheless, it's still important. It's important to be active. Yeah. Like whatever, go to the gym. It doesn't matter. Just move your body.
Right.
Move your body, eat fairly well, and try to get a good enough amount of sleep. And that's 7 to 8 hours, right? For most people our age. 9, if you can, it'd be great, but good luck with that. So anything over 7 is optimal. Just try to make sure that those are covered, because if you take care of yourself, you're going to be a better parent to your children. Better employee, and then you're going to be a better support person for your parents.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's really important.
I think the other piece is, talking about what's happening with the various different people in your social circle. So like talking to your parents, talking to your children about the anxieties and pressures and all these different things. Like I think we do ourselves a disservice if we're like trying to hide these things. My parents were and probably your generation too, like I'm going to hide I'm not going to really tell what's really happening. I want to shield my kids. And it's like, you can't, they're not being shielded. Like they know what's going on, whether you want to put it one way or another.
Individualism that's very characteristic of our society. We're expected to kind of do these things
on our own. Yeah.
And so we're a social species, right? This is very much not natural compared to what we would have had to do. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village just in general to
do all this stuff. Yeah.
If you wanted to kill somebody, you just kick them out of the tribe. You didn't have to do anything other than be like, nope, you're not allowed here.
Yeah.
And they would just die like a couple days later of whatever. So it's really important to know that we're a social species. We rely on the people around us. Even neurodivergent people rely on the people around us, as much as many of my neurodivergent compatriots would wish that's not the case. Very much rely on other people for our survival and our wellness. It's important to talk about it, and it's so important to work as a team, even within a society where we're all kind of like crabs in a bucket, right? We're just like, I just need to take care of myself, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really important to kind of fight that urge.
But I think the other piece is like to enjoy the time that we have, right? I think, and again, like we said, there are various complex relationships where maybe you don't have a good relationship with your family, or you don't have a good relationship with your siblings or whoever, is a part of your social circle. But I think it's just important that, you do take the time to enjoy the people that you have with the time that you have. Because, if I'm in my 40s, they're in their 60s, they're in their 70s. We know, yes, life expectancy has increased, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not like quality of life has increased. Yeah, the US is like a whole different place. And we're not even going to touch the Middle East because their life expectancy is like in their 30s, which is another conversation to have another day because, yeah, there's some really effed up stuff going on in the world that we need to have conversations about. But again, just like the fact that, people aren't here forever, and we have to, even though, we're being squeezed and we're stressed, whatever, eventually someday they're not going to be here. And we have to take that time to be like, all right, let's do what we got to do. Or you're going to, you want to go for a walk, you want to take the dog, you want to do this, I'm going to do that. You want to build a Lego, you want to do something. Yeah. We're going to do that. Oh, you're upset. You feel like we're not spending enough time with you. I'm not going to record an episode. We got to do what we need to do because at the end of the day, we're not here forever. Nothing is promised. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow either in our 40s. And I think it's just it's not even just stop and smell the roses. It's stop and have that conversation. Have that walk at the park with your parents, have that, whatever, that dinner date or whatever you have planned, and just enjoy them while they're here because they won't be here forever. And that's the other sucky part of the midlife squeeze, knowing that they're not indestructible, right? We're not indestructible. So again, it's just, enjoy them while they're here. And when they're not, those are the memories that you make. And then for the people who have complex relationships, do the best that you can to support yourself. And whatever you need to do to continue to support yourself, it's important. Whether there's boundary setting, I think there's boundary setting probably on both ends, but whatever you need to do to make sure that you're keeping yourself sane and that your mental health is intact. But other than that, I don't know if I have anything else to add. But we're going to make it through these sandwich years. I was gonna say I like sandwiches too. That's so weird. We just great minds think alike. I was gonna say, yeah, I like sandwiches. I don't like being squeezed, but because you're rolled into it. Oh my gosh, that's the Caribbean. Anyways, if you like what you hear, please continue to tune in, hit the subscribe button on Atypical Podcast. We'll be here to have more conversations. Anyways, stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening to myself and my husband talk about life's uncertainties and the atypical situations that we have in life. Take care.